U.S. citizen, boy. Look. Yep. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Fuck with you. Fuck you. Look, they got their guns out. Put them guns out, boy. Bitch ass. Y'all ass better take y'all ass back, boy.
Get back, son.
Y'all ass tweaking, boy. You just hit that man in his face like that, boy. You a bitch.
And then there's also more offices all over here. They're custom designed. To the right, that goes to the roof.
Shalom, Shalom Israel. I am the brother Yowana from the Great Millstone, Arizona camp, coming back at y'all with Lord's will with another edifying lesson. First and foremost, as always, before I start, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachach Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers. Shalom to you brothers pushing and teaching this truth across the four winds of this earth. And as always, peace, blessings, and many salutations be to you sincere Ak Yom Akwath, you brothers, along with you few sisters, who are given all diligence in these last days, right? Through the mercy and grace of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through his only beloved begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Coming back with another sit-down lesson, man. This, I didn't intend for this lesson to be too long. Just pretty much straight to the point. I wanted to blow the trumpet. Okay, brothers, had shared a couple of videos in our group chat, and which videos I played at the beginning of this lesson. And as you can see, okay, you have, what was it? So let's go back to it real quick. Right? 300 ICE agents. Okay, repelled out of Black Hawk helicopters to an apartment building in Chicago and dragged everyone, including children, out on the street in their underwear and zip-tied them until 3 a.m. Okay, we understand that Donald Trump was talking about sending troops into various different U.S. cities, okay, within these next few months. All right, so now we're seeing the effects of that. All right, and this is what it looks like. Okay, this is all according to biblical prophecy. All right, you see Jake right here being apprehended and cuffed by two different, military men. And all the meanwhile, all this is happening in Chicago. You have ICE buying a new facility in Chicago. So what does that show? Okay, that shows that something major, right, is coming. Right now, we're in the calm before the storm. Okay, which is why I'm going to go back to this in Ezekiel 3:17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. And that's what the Lord has done in these last days. The Lord has raised up watchmen, prophets, okay, which are constantly giving a daily report of things that are going on. Okay, it says, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning for me. And that's our job. Okay, is to give you warning, okay, concerning these times that we're in. Okay, because we understand pursuing to Revelation 12 and verse 12. Let's get it. This is the time we're coming into, Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. All right, in the spirit that the Lord has put on Donald Trump, okay, to make these very proud statements concerning Jake is nothing but criminals. Okay, pretty much the greatest crime is migrant crime, which when he says that, he's not just talking about, those of our people that are doing bad things. He's talking about all of us as a whole, man. We're all considered criminals and lowlifes in the eyes of these Edomites. Okay, we're considered the problem that needs to be fixed. All right, which in their mind, how they're going to fix that problem is trying to, erase us. Okay, may cause us to go extinct. You see, they want to move us out the way so that they can set up, a new world in which they are on top and we're further driven into the ground. Okay, you see, so the spirit that the Lord has put on Donald Trump as he's coming to office and as time is moving on is increasing more and more, becoming more intense. He's becoming more he's become more proud. Okay, he's becoming more, sinister, if that's the right word, towards, you Israelites, right? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. He's becoming more hostile is the right word. All right, now hostility, that hostile spirit is going to increase within these Edomites as time goes on. All right, we're going to be seeing more persecution, especially towards those of us that believe, right? Which that persecution is coming for all Jakes, man, for all you Israelites, for all of us. And let's prove that. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16 and verse 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, and feed you being idle with things offered unto idols." All right, so we understand that. Again, this complements Revelation 12 and 12, what we just read, man, a burning wrath of a great multitude. Because Esau is about to come in, as the scriptures say in Isaiah 59 and 19, he's about to come in like a flood, with his different branches of military and government officials, right, with his troops, and he's about to come in, like a burning wrath, like a burning fire, all right. It says in a great multitude, and they shall take away certain of you, right, because some of us are going to be taken pursuant of Revelation 2 and 10, right. The devil is going to cast some of us into prison, and again, them setting up and buying that new facility, that could very well be, all right, let's go back to it. That could very well be what they're going to use that facility for. Re-education center / FEMA camp. We'll have to see, right? The detainment center, like over there on the borders, they still got Issachar and Northern tribes in cages, right? Kids going missing, family going missing, all right? And they act like they don't know what's going on, but there's a lot going on, man. These devils are constantly afflicting our people. And that affliction, right, towards our people is going to become more intense in these days ahead, as we're seeing. Right, Esau does not care. He knows he's running out of time. That's why he's going to come down with that great wrath, aimed at you, Jakes. This is 2nd Ezra 16 and 69. "And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach, and trodden under foot. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord." Right, which those that fear the Lord is ultimately referring to the whole nation of Israel as a whole. It says they shall be like mad men, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. He said they're going to be like mad men. They're going to be like crazy men, like they've lost their mind. All right, sparing none, having mercy on nobody. The Lord's putting that same spirit in Esau that was, the Lord's putting that same spirit in Esau now that was in him at the time of us going into hardcore bondage, man. Right, that nation of a fierce countenance, which would not show favor to the young nor reverence the old. These devils don't care how young, how old you are. Right, they're going to ultimately treat you, mercilessly, because that's the spirit that's within them, man. As the scriptures say in Jeremiah 13 and 26, "Can an Ethiopian change his skin, or a leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil?" That's a question, right? If a leopard can't change its spots, and an Ethiopian can't change his skin, can somebody change their wicked way? Or can somebody that's accustomed and made to do evil, can they change from doing evil? The answer is no. Esau was made as that vessel unto dishonor. It was made, to be, to be deceitful, to be wicked, right? That's why he's known as the son of perdition, the son of the wicked, man. And see, here in the days ahead, he's about to be like a madman, as we're reading about, sparing none, man, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, all right? Which, again, applies to our whole nation, and more specifically as well, those that truly fear the Lord in these last days, concerning you brothers and you sisters out there. All right, this is about to happen to us too. It says, "For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses." And again, that's what we just seen. Right now, we're in the beginning stages to a lot of these end time prophecies, coming into full effect. This isn't a time of games. These devils aren't playing, man. And I remember I had a dream, earlier this year, where basically I was with my sister in a dream, which was kind of strange, but nevertheless, we were kind of on the run. We were like in the midst of Jacob's trouble, it seemed like. and we were on the run looking for some type of place of sanctuary, some type of safe place. And as we're running, I'm leading, and she's behind me. We came into like this. It was like a courtyard, like a complex, like the middle of apartments. And in the middle of these apartments was like a playground, and there was kids everywhere and grass, and people were, chilling and laughing, and everybody was, peaceful. But as that was happening, I got happy too. I seen it because it was like a relief almost, being able to see that from, us being on the run. And, it was instantly met, with a quick change of emotions, because as I had that quick feeling of relief, and happiness, I just remember something wasn't right. And as I felt that, and I looked up, there was troops, in helicopters, right? Or I don't want to say troops, because I remember if it was exactly troops, but I would say troops, military men that were descending out of these helicopters, man. And as they descended out of these helicopters, they were shooting up everybody, man, children included, right? And I remember just, I don't even know if my sister went in the dream, Lord willing, she was good, but, I just remember running because everybody was running everywhere, man. There was hundreds of people. Again, as they're descending down, they're shooting, and as they all dropping down, they're just laying and mowing Jake down. All right, and I had just ran, and I had slid underneath this staircase, and it was so narrow that I could only fit under there myself, and I was so low to the ground that all I saw was feet of people running around, but nobody saw me. And I just heard people screaming and kids crying and gunshots going off and people dropping, but I just thought about that dream as I was looking at this post that the brothers, had shared in our group chat, man, because it's very spiritual, man, because that's the times we're coming into, all right, where the Lord is going to put the spirit on these Edomites to ultimately come down in these cities, right, causing all type of chaos and all type of hell for you Jakes, really for everybody, but especially you Israelites, because that's where his arrows or his sword is aimed. All right, we're gonna see that, man. It's not just gonna be something we're saying. We're gonna see it. All right, and this is the early stages of the times we're getting ready to come into, known as Jacob's trouble, which we're gonna read right here in the book of Daniel, chapter. Bear with me. Matter of fact, let's go to it in Jeremiah chapter 30. And verse 4 says, "And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah," right? The northern and the southern tribes. All right, it says, "For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace." No peace is coming. All right. All hell is getting ready to break loose. And yet here we are. We still have our people more concerned about, the entertainment of this world, right? Sports. And again, there's nothing wrong with liking sports and having certain hobbies, as we always say. But don't have your mind all caught up in that, man. Okay, because the time we're coming into isn't a time of peace. It's not going to be no comfort. The only comfort that we're going to get is, Lord willing, we're the elect, and the Lord, ultimately shows us, mercy, okay, and delivers us from these different situations that we're getting ready to face. All right, but at the overall, it's going to be voices of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great. So the average man in the days to come, right, is going to be like a woman in travail, going to be screaming and crying and snot nose and tears running down the face, because they're not going to know what to be. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to be overcome with fear, okay, and confusion, which is going to leave them in a perplexed state. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." You see, that is not the time we're coming into. Is never going to be a time like it in history. There hasn't been a time like it, and never will be a time like it ever again in history. So we understand this is a great time of trouble that we're coming into. But what is the comfort in that, man? That he shall be saved out of it, man. The elect is going to be protected in the times ahead. While everybody else is being apprehended and being tortured and put to death, man, the elect is going to be protected by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And although it may be our lot, some of us are going to be put to death, pursuant to Revelation 20:4. That may be the lot of some of us, where we die for the testimony of Yahushai, right? And we die for, keeping the faith, right? But some of us are going to be kept alive and will remain until the return of our Lord Yahushai, pursuant to 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter, man. You which are alive and remain shall be caught up with the Lord. Okay, roughly paraphrasing, man. You know, so I just wanted to blow the trumpet on this, man, because these are all the times we're coming into. And, you know, it was very heavy seeing this, man, because this is happening in Chicago. You know, we already seen, you know, what was going on over there in, where was that? I believe it was D.C. or Washington that they sent, the ICE and the military. They were ultimately, you know, pressing Jake in the streets, doing unwarranted car searches. Okay, pretty much, taking Jake and frisking him down. You see, so this is the time we're coming into, man. All right, and this is going to be all throughout the states, and it's going to become more intense. All right, it's not just going to be, we're seeing it, here and there, and it dies down. The times we're coming into, man, things are speeding up. Okay, so expect more expect to be seeing more of these things happening in, social media. Okay, and then one thing about that is, too, you're not going to see this in the news. Of course they're not going to put this in the news, man. All right, but that's the job of the prophets, to blow the trumpet on these things and to bring it out, to edify, you sincere Akim and Akwaf, to understand that, look, this is no joke, right? A lot of people, if you're not watching, you're not going to think nothing's going on, right? But if you're watching and you're paying attention, you're always going to stay in a spirit of readiness, all right, in a spirit of vigilance, okay, which is very important in these times, man, that we stay aware of our surroundings as well as things that are happening, within the world, man, because we are living in very prophetic times. You see, so with that, I do hope and pray that this was edifying and straight to the point. Before I close off, as always, I'd like to give all the praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachach. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers. Until next time, Lord's will, I say shalom, stay strong, and keep the faith. Shalom.